What is up, YouTube? That's here. Happy New Year's Eve. I'm bringing you guys my top 5 ice Pokemon video. This one has been requested since the start of the series. There's always like those 3 or 4 people that have been saying, I want to see ice types covered. And now finally, now that we have like the extremely popular types out of the way, I can finally get onto ice types, guys. But if you remember, if you want to see a specific type, leave a comment in the comment section. The type with the most votes gets it. I know there's a lot of people voting for Psychic, and there's a lot of people voting for things like Fighting and Rock. So if you want to see your type represented, if you're looking for something new to shiny hunt and you don't really know, or you know, you don't really have like a type in general, you just want some new targets to go look for good Pokemon or look for shiny Pokemon, leave like something like Poison, something like Rock, something like Ground. Those are really like awkward types you don't really think of at first glance, but there's a ton of good Pokemon for those types. So guys, please leave a like, leave a comment, and say what you want to see in the comment section below so we can continue to work on the series. So yeah, as I said before, we are working on ice types today. Pretty cool type, if you know what I mean. So yeah, there's not that many ice types into the game. We're gonna hop right into it, and you know, like I said, we've changed it up to where you can see all of the ice types in the game. You know, I don't have it just like my 5, and you guys can kind of like snipe the list. Yeah, these are all the ice types in the game. You got things like Articuno, Lapras, Alolan Ninetails, Dugong, Jinx, Alolan Sandslash, and Cloyster. So it's a bit of a mix-up since regular Gen 1 because there are these Alolan forms. I think that Alolan Ninetails is exclusive to Let's Go Eevee, and Alolan Sandslash is exclusive to Let's Go Pikachu. And if you're saying like, I'd love to use Alolan Ninetails as Alolan Sandslash, but I don't have that respective version, you can totally join the Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the description of the video, and there are so many people in my Discord. We have over 1,000 members, and each one of them is super nice, and they will totally trade you like an Alolan Vulpix or an Alolan Sandshrew. And if not, I mean, I might be able to help, but you know, guys, feel free to join the Discord if you haven't already. There's a link in the description. So yeah, top 5. A couple of these Pokemon are gonna get the axe. I wonder what Pokemon is gonna be number 5. Well, I'm actually going to start number 5. I bet you a lot of you guys are thinking this Pokemon should be a lot higher on my list, but I'm actually going to be starting off number 5 with Snorlax. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be Sandslash. It's going to be Alolan Sandslash at number 5. I know a lot of people would put this near the top of their list because it does so many unique moves, but with great power comes great responsibility. This Pokemon has so many weaknesses. So many weaknesses. Yo, look at this thing. It is an Ice Steel. It is 4 times weak to fire. It's the only 4 times weak to fire Pokemon other than Parasect. And it's 4 times weak to fighting. It's weak to ground. It's weak to so many things. Like so many common types as well. It's ridiculous. Like a lot of Pokemon, even if they don't really stab those types with the same type attack bonus, they have super effective moves against this thing, and its special defense is not very high. Its defense isn't even super high. But, actually it is kind of high, but you know what I mean. Sandslash is very susceptible to getting one-shotted, and while it has unique typing in Steel Ice, you know, you obviously can't Toxic it because it's that Steel type, it's also, like, not super fast. Like, most of the time, I'd probably rather use a regular Sandslash, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for it, because I know there's some serious Alolan Sandslash fanboys out there. A lot of people like using Alolan Sandslash to beat things like Aerodactyl. It can kind of work sometimes against, like, you know, things like Rhydon, but, you know, then again, random superpowers just, like, totally rock this thing, because it's 4 times super effective, and I can't take it, you know, like, it's good enough to beat the 2 Pokemon that are Ice types that don't make the list, but, it's not good enough to beat the other 4 in the list, in my opinion. Maybe you guys can leave a comment, prove me wrong, let me know if you guys have some sick Alolan Sandslash movesets. So we're gonna look into my default moveset. Note that we are going... I always do that. I always go back out. Note that we're going to be looking at an adamant one. I know a lot of people like Impish Sandslash, Careful Alolan Sandslash as well. I've even seen a couple Jolly ones. This thing's going to be a pseudo tank, right? It's not a wall. The difference between a tank and a wall is a wall has like a recovery move like Recover or Soft Boiled or Roost. This thing can't really recover in HP, so it's going to be a tank. It can tank most attacks and, you know, live maybe... hopefully, and then, you know, it can fire back with something that's relatively strong, or some type of setup move. This thing gets Stealth Rocks, this thing gets Swords Dance also, and that's one of the things that really sets this Pokemon apart from the other Pokemon on the list that it's outclassing. This Pokemon's one of the probably 5 or 6 Pokemon in the game that actually gets Swords Dance. Unfortunately, it's just not fast enough to pull it off. If you think about Alolan Sandslash in previous gens, or, you know, just Gen 7, it had Slush Rush, which was an ability it used to have, which doubled its speed in the hail, and that's what made this Pokemon somewhat usable, and without that, it struggles a little bit. Note that it's probably the best Iron Tail user in the game. 100 base power, stabbed steel move, so like you are going to be able to like one-shot things like Aerodactyl with like Iron Tail and probably Ice Punch as well. So like again, if you're going up against Aerodactyl like every single game, maybe try this Pokemon. If like Aerodactyl's that big of an issue, you can think about trying it. They're probably going to taunt you or set up rocks anyways because they either don't want rocks going up or they want to set up their own rocks. Take that turn to KO them for free and you might be able to get something going. This Pokemon gets a bunch of other really useful TM moves that we're going to talk about when we get to the TM section of the video, which is at the end after we show the top 5. So this is a default Alolan Sandslash set. If you don't have an Alolan Sandslash, you want to use it, hit up the Discord. I'm sure someone can hook you up. So that is number 5. Number 5. And who's going to be number 4? Oh man, like I said, the number 4 Pokemon are so much better than Alolan Sandslash. I would say that it's like the top 2 are in like a class of their own, and then like 3 and 4 are like really good, and then like Sandslash is like the solid default point for what a good Pokemon is, and then 6 and 7 are better than like most other Pokemon, believe it or not, but they're just not good enough for a top 5, and I didn't want to make like a top 7 list, but I'll probably talk about them anyways. Number 4 is actually going to be the other Alolan form, in my opinion. It's going to be Alolan Ninetails. Now, you guys have seen me use Alolan Ninetails a lot. Probably my most viewed battle video for Let's Go actually features a team that's relatively built around Alolan Ninetails. This Pokemon has base 109 speed. You should try and run this thing timid. Now, it says mine's calm. That's just because I haven't got the time to reset for Alolan Ninetails all day. If anyone has a timid Alolan Ninetails that's like 5 IV and they want to see me use it in battles and show how this Pokemon can be used to its fullest potential, you know, trade it to me. I will totally use it. But yeah, this thing is an Ice Fairy, so very unique typing, but it's also like it has some weaknesses. One cool thing though is it's not really weak to fighting. That's really cool. Like Ice Fairy, it's gonna be neutral to fighting because Fairy resists fighting. Ice is weak to it. Still gonna have the Fire weakness. It's taking away the fighting weakness and adding a what is it? A Poison type weakness. And then it's the only 4 times weak to Steel Pokemon in the game. Also note that like this one is weak to rocks, like actual like stealth rocks and rock attacks, versus Sandslash isn't, because Sandslash, its steel typing resists the rocks versus the ice typing taking it. So this Pokemon has a ton of weaknesses, that's what I'm saying. But again, this Pokemon has the speed that it needs. And remember guys, I think speed is the most important stat in the game. More often than not, this Pokemon has a pretty decent bulk base special defense wise. So like, you know, even though it's somewhat frail, literally like a glass cannon or like an ice cannon, you're going to be able to go like Ice Beam, and then they're going to hit you. They're probably going to KO you because not everything has steel attacks, and then you're going to be able to Ice Beam again. So think about like you have really low offensive stats, but you're effectively going to be hitting like twice for every one time that your opponent hits you back. And so you can use that to your advantage and use moves that boost your relatively weak offensive stats. But like I said, this thing's going to be like a setup mon / sweeper. The longer you guys keep this thing in the back until its checks are gone from your opponent's teams, the better. I would really recommend you go timid on this thing. You need to go timid because it's base 109. It's not base 110. It's not as fast as Gengar, not as fast as Raichu, not as fast as Dodrio, not as fast as Alolan Dugtrio. It's 1 base speed less. You know, in other gens, like in Gen 7, this was a really niche speed tiering, and, you know, it's great. I'd much rather be 109 than base 100, but, you know, I'd much rather be 110 as well. So, yeah, 109, you gotta be timid, and the reason why I say timid over jolly is because this thing is predominantly a special attacker. So even though this thing might learn physical attacks, you really only want to use special attacks. So we're gonna look at the moveset I have, and then we're gonna talk about some other heart scale moves that it gets. So this is my default Ninetales moveset. This is the cookie cutter, that's a +1. You start with this, and then you expand based on your own playstyle. So we're gonna have Substitute, right? Substitute creates the sub. Calm Mind. Now, Calm Mind, like I said, it's one of those moves that increases your relatively weak offensive stats. It's gonna give you a +1 boost to your special attack and your special defense. And if you get a couple Calm Minds off, it's possible that you can set up substitutes that make it so your opponent can't break your substitute with special attacks. And holy moly, Someone just subscribed to the channel. I have it turned off. But I'm gonna thank him. Like, I have the alert box thing turned off. You know, like, let me just test the widget to, like, show. Like, see? Like, I could test it to show it, but yeah, someone just subscribed to the channel when I'm offline. Duck1? Yo, because you can see it in the top right. That's how I noticed it. Holy moly, subscribing to the channel when I'm offline. That is ridiculous. You know, I'm appreciate it. I'm sure this person's gonna be watching the video. If they're dedicated enough to go watch the channel, like, and subscribe when I'm offline, they're probably dedicated enough to watch my YouTube channel. So, I want to say thank you. You get your own special shout-outs. But anyways, yeah, we're talking about the fact that Calm Mind boosts your offensive and special defensive stats. So, the play here is, the cookie cutter play, is to use a couple Calm Minds, get a pretty decent special defense boost, and then just be able to eat so much special attacks you can set up subs in the face of all these special attackers. Probably not things like Venusaur and Charizards, but maybe against something like, you know, Alakazams that want to use Psychics and stuff. I'm pretty sure if you got like a couple Calm Minds off, you'd be able to relatively eat those attacks with not that much of an issue. After that, you have Dazzling Gleam. It's a fairy attack. You stab it. Fairy's not like awesome, but being able to stab it makes it okay. And Ice Beam's pretty good. If you really want to opt to go with like Blizzards, that's totally fine. You know, I'd recommend maybe going Blizzard in like doubles, because remember, Dazzling Gleam hits both in doubles. Blizzard hits both in doubles. This is one of the best doubles Pokemon. And this Pokemon gets a ton of TM moves. Before we even get to the TM section, I'm going to talk about sometimes you guys have seen me use Roar on a level 1 Ninetails. It's pretty good. I really do like Roar on this thing. And I wanted to touch on it now because I'm probably going to forget about talking about Roar later because I don't think I have that TM. But Roar's really, really good on something like level 1 Ninetails. Being able to phase things out, stop people from setting up. Also combos really, really well if you have like Stealth Rocks. Other heart scale moves this thing learns, it gets Encore, guys. Encore. So what you can do is you can go like, if you see them use Stealth Rocks, or you see them use Toxic, or you see them use literally like anything. Like let's say I were to pop a sub and they go like Leech Seed, or Sleep Powder, or Toxic, or Thunder Wave. Remember, sub's gonna block those moves because sub's like the best. And then you can Encore them in the same moves. Now, they may be thinking that's all they're gonna have to do is switch. Well, yeah, good. Good, you should switch. And if you switch, if I have Stealth Rocks up, you're taking more damage. And on your switch, I get to use a free setup move like Calm Mind or Nasty Plot, which is the other heart scale move that Ninetales gets that's also pretty good. It also gets moves like Hypnosis, just like regular Ninetales does. This Pokemon gets so many good moves, and I think it's just a little bit better than regular Ninetales. If I were to rank them, I would rank this one a little bit better because, again, it is a little bit faster, and it gets Encore and Calm Mind. Like, that's just enough to put it in a slightly better tier, in my opinion. You know, if it was up to me, Alolan Ninetales would be, like, the best Pokemon in the game. Like, it's not my favorite Pokemon, right? But if any of you guys know me, when you play Pokemon at, like, a big regional with, like, hundreds of people, it's a common tradition for most people to have, like, a plushie next to them that represents how they feel about Pokemon, some of their favorite Pokemon they're known for. I always like to use my Alolan Vulpix plushie that has like a Santa hat, and I've taken Alolan Ninetales decks for the TCG to multiple regionals, and you guys know that I like Alolan Ninetales. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. But unfortunately, it's going to fall short for the ice types. It's really good, but again, it's a glass cannon, and it having that huge weakness to Stealth Rocks, while needing all of the stats that it already has, like it really, if it didn't have the weakness to Stealth Rocks, I'd say this is an amazing Pokemon, on par with something like Starmie. But that weakness to Stealth Rocks really, really hurts it because you can't just switch in as many times as you want, and it not having like a recovery move really, really hurts it. So, unfortunately, it's 4th, but you know I'm going to show you guys something special about it later, and when I start doing doubles content, this Pokemon is going to shine. Shine. Like, there has to be an ice pun to make. But, anyways, that's top 4. Moving on to top 3. You may be thinking, like, man, that's, you put the 2 Alolan Pokemon, which most people would put, like, both of those probably in the top 3. I'm not surprised. Like, most people probably would. So, what is the top 3? Like, who is the top 3? Well, number 3. I'm gonna throw you guys for a loop here. It's actually Jinx. And you guys are like, Jinx sucks. Like, I know Jinx sucks. There's no way Jinx is better than Alolan Sandslash and Alolan Ninetales. And it actually just is. Jinx is a very specific Pokemon. It does a couple things that no other Pokemon can do, which makes it extremely unique. And a lot of people, because, like, at your first thought, you think Jinx sucks. Well, if you think Jinx sucks, you're sleeping on Jinx, literally, and it's going to set up on you, and it's going to win some games. So, this thing has to be timid. Again, this thing is a special attacker, and you want to increase that speed. This thing has base 95 speed. I've talked about base 95, how You want to be base 95 speed to outspeed things like Gyarados, outspeed things like Nidoking, Speed Ties, Arcanine. You know, you're going to be slower than things like Mew and Zapdos who are base 100, but again, those Pokemon need to be plus speed nature to even outspeed you, and, you know, more often than not, those things like legendaries, not everyone soft resets for those things, and again, if you're timid, you're forcing them to be timid or jolly as well. So timid is the plus speed nature you want to go. Again, you could go hasty, you could go naive, but timid is the best choice for Jinx. Remember, you catch this thing in the Seafoam Islands. This thing was a pain to chain, but yeah, Jinx. What does Jinx do then? It is a psychic ice type, so it has a whole bunch of weaknesses. Rocks, I guess it's neutral to fighting. It's like rocks, bug, fire, dark, ghost. Like, this thing's packed full of weaknesses. Jinx doesn't take damage. I'm gonna show you why. Look at this moveset. Look at it. So we got Taunt. Jinx, fast enough, base 95 speed. That's like the threshold of, like, Taunt works on those Pokemon. Anything slower than base 95, I probably wouldn't put Taunt on because, you know, you're going to go second using Taunt, and taunting things going second doesn't really work. They're going to be able to use their move. So, yeah, you can taunt them to stop them from setting up and doing literally whatever. Lovely Kiss is what makes Jinx extremely unique. So Lovely Kiss is going to be a base 75 move with a scary face. The user tries to force a kiss on the target. If it succeeds, the target falls asleep. So, what move is this? This is Sleep Powder. This is the same thing as Sleep Powder. They're both 75 base accuracy. Puts things to sleep. Sleep moves are premium. They're so good. And then, I had to do it. Most people would go Psychic here. Most people would totally go Psychic here. But, I had to do it. I've been trying to make one of these sets for so long. We're going Dream Eater, guys. The user eats the dreams of a sleeping target, so they have to be asleep. It absorbs half the damage caused to heal its own HP. So why is this good? So, come in, take Stealth Rock's damage, take like a fourth your HP. Lovely Kiss and put him to sleep. Bam! Dream Eater, so good. 100 base power, go back up to full, and they're like, holy shit, I'm getting Dream Eatered. I need to switch. Well, if I have Stealth Rock set on you as well, you're gonna switch, take more Stealth Rock's damage. I'm a Lovely Kiss you again. And so you got another thing as sleeping. You probably think like, that's a Sleep Clause. Fine, I'll just use Ice Beam. I really don't care. Also, you can cut like Taunt, and you can cut like one of these attacks, or you can cut Dream Eater for Psychic and go with like, I'm pretty sure it gets Nasty Plot as a hard scale move. We're actually going to check. I'm pretty sure it gets Calm Mind as well. Jinx gets so many good moves. You guys are sleeping on Jinx. Jinx is absolutely busted. We're going to be using it on the channel relatively soon. This Pokemon is so good. And if you guys are a fan of my content going all the way back to like 2011, I did this series where I showed you guys how to make an account on Pokemon Showdown from scratch, and I would take an account and I would show you guys how I build teams. It's like a really old team building video. I'd show you guys how I find what's good. I would show you guys like usage stats and go like really in depth about that. And then I would show you guys all the games that I played to take an account from a fresh account to like a top 10 account on each ladder. So I started on like the NU ladder, the PU ladder, the RU ladder, UU, OU, stuff like that. Every single ladder. And I probably made like 15 or 20 videos on this series. Like I've been top ladder for almost every single format at some point in time, going all the way back to like Gen 4. And I use Jinx in almost every single format because this Pokemon's just busted. It's so good. So let's see. Does it get? It does not get. It does not get Nasty Plot in this game. Damn. I mean, you don't really need it. But, because you can just Calm Mind. You can just Calm Mind. Calm Mind works. It gets Psychic, Shadow Ball. You can go Blizzard if you want. I think the fact that it gets Dream Eater is just hilarious. It gets moves like Screens and stuff like that too. I think the thing that puts Jinx ahead of a lot of other Pokemon is the Dream Eater. It's probably the best Dream Eater Pokemon in the game because it has a reliable sleep move. And most people, when they think of Dream Eater, they think Hypnosis Dream Eater. They don't think Lovely Kiss Dream Eater, and it stabs the Dream Eater. It doesn't get much better than that. If you want any Dream Eater user, Jinx is the way to go. You heard it here first. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below as we're moving on. We are moving on. Alright. And then there were two. And then there were two. What is the second best ice type? I mean, we got a couple good ones left. We got a few good ones left over here. Ah, not over there. Over here, we got a few good ones. The second, you guys are going to hate me. It's going to be Cloyster. And you guys are like, Riot, Cloyster has to be the best one. It's one of the best sweepers in the game. I know it is. But we're going to be going Cloyster. And it says my nature's gentle. Again, this is one of those situations in which I do not have all the perfect Pokemon. You need to be a speed nature with this thing. Now, I'm not recommending Jolly. I'm not recommending Timid. This Pokemon is what we like to call a mixed sweeper. Similar if you guys watch my Charizard Flex video. This Pokemon can excel offensive, like physical attacks and special attacks. So I'd really recommend a hasty nature on this thing. It's going to raise your speed, lower your defense, because Cloyster has so much defense. It doesn't really need all of it, but it wants every single bit of specialty it has. So Naive, I wouldn't really recommend. If you have one and that's all you got, you can go for it, but you're really going to want a hasty nature on this thing, and you need speed nature. This is one of those ones where you need it, because Cloyster's base speed is 70. So what you want to be able to do is use a move called Shell Smash. You guys have seen me talk about this before. It's going to lower your defense and special defense by one stage, but sharply raise your attack, special attack, and speed. So it's going to double all of your offensive stats and your speed. And so if you want to outspeed, most Pokemon like Aerodactyl, Mega Gengar and other base 130, things like Jolteon and things like that. Since you're 70 base speed, double that, go up to 140. You need to be a plus speed nature. Also, you'd be like speed tying things like Mega Mewtwo Y, which is 140 base as well. But if you want to outspeed regular Mewtwo, who's 130, you gotta get speed nature. Otherwise, even after a Shell Smash, those things are still gonna outspeed you. So again, this is my default moveset. It's definitely open to interpretation. I know a lot of people like Self-Destruct. Don't run Self-Destruct on your Cloysters. There's literally so many other moves to use. You can literally, instead of Self-Destructing, probably just use like Surf twice and be fine. Like Self-Destruct is really, really bad on this Pokemon. I promise you it's bad. Don't run it. Shell Smash is there to double your stats. Ice Beam is going to be a special attack. It's your stabbed. It's one of the strongest ice beam users in the game, especially after a Shell Smash. It's probably the strongest. And Surf, note that this thing gets Surf over Scald. It doesn't even learn Scald, and Surf's a little bit stronger. And on Shell Smash users, remember, you're trying to get the KOs, so you want the base damage from Surf. It also gets Hydro Pump. If you want to use Hydro Pump, you can risk it for the biscuit, but Surf actually has enough to where you're fine. And last but not least, we have Poison Jab here. There's a few other physical attacks it can learn and get, things like Twin Needle. I've seen people use Clamp, but Poison Jab's here. You may be wondering, why are you even using Poison Jab? Well, there's a lot of Pokemon that have a really, really high base special defense and then almost no defense. Examples come to mind like Chansey, like Snorlax and stuff like that. Or maybe a Pokemon that has like 2 or 3 Calm Minds off and you just need to do a ton of damage. Poison Jab's that move that is a physical attack. It's only 80 base. But, in those situations, you have the option of going for a physical attack. And that can't be underrated. Being able to be a mixed sweeper, even at, like, any sort of level, brings a whole nother, like, dimension of the game that your opponent has to respect. So, this is my default Cloyster set. Let me know if you have a better one in the comments below. I'm definitely interested in hearing about it. So, what is the best ice type, in my opinion? The best ice type. There's still a few left. There is still 3 left that I haven't talked about. I haven't talked about Dugong. I know a lot of people like Dugong. I haven't talked about Lapras. We're sitting next to a Lapras in the Elite Four. This is where we are right now. This is the pretty much coolest spot. Not party. Sorry, Raticate. I'm so sorry. We never even added him to the party. Oh man, we gotta add him to the party. Raticate. I'm so sorry, my guy. Maybe in the dark video. The dark video would probably be a pretty good one, I think. So anyways, we got 1, 2, 3. I know the suspense is killing you guys. 4. And you guys are probably pretty sure what the best ice type is. In my opinion, it's gonna be my boy. It has to be Articuno. I know this thing packs so many weaknesses. You got fire. You got a 4 times weakness to rock. Like, oof. Take 50% when you switch it on those stealth rocks. I know it's a lot. But that's one of its strengths. You guys have heard me talk about Articuno's, being able to bait them into leading a Stealth Rocks user by just having this Pokemon on your team. If you look up one of my more recent videos, the Gengar team building video, I had 5 Pokemon which didn't really take any super effective damage from Stealth Rocks and Articuno. And 9 times out of 10, my opponent would lead with their Stealth Rocks user, and then I'd lead with my Kingler and just punish them. And it happened every single time. And the reason being is they see that Articuno in the team preview, and they're like, I gotta set up rocks, that's an Articuno. They think of the extreme value they're gonna get, getting 50% of my health when I switch it on Stealth Rocks. Articuno's fine, it has a recovery move. It's so good. It also has a lot of weakness, like I said, fire, rocks, it's neutral to fighting. Yeah. But it also has like electric, Steel. There's so many weaknesses this thing has, but it also has a couple unique resistances that a lot of these other Pokemon don't have, other than Sandslash. Being able to resist grass is pretty decent. You can switch it on Mega Drains, pop those subs. We're going to talk about the set that I like to use for Articuno. The Articuno set that I use. This is Bold. I've seen people use Bold. I've seen Modest. I've seen Timid. I've seen Calm. You're going to want all of those type of natures. This thing is, the way I like to play it, you can play this Pokemon as a sweeper. You guys can play this Pokemon almost however you want. Legendaries have such high base stats that you can play them almost however you want. But I like to play Articuno as a wall. And the reason I say wall is because it has a recovery move in Roost. So I like to go Bold and increase my defenses as much as possible. I've eaten Rock Slides from Pokemon while being at full health. And I like to say that that's thanks to Bold. This also helps me eat a couple like random attacks, like fire punches, for example. If you don't stab the fire punch and you have it on like a Hitmonchan, like a Snorlax, I'm going to be able to eat those relatively well thanks to the Bold nature. But we're going to look at my moveset. You guys have seen me talk about this Pokemon before. Substitute Roost, Toxic Ice Beam. I can say 100% that every single player who's taken this Articuno set on ladder, you guys have seen it in a bunch of my videos, they've all like left comments and saying like, wow, that Articuno set is so good. I can't believe how bulky it is. I can't believe how much damage it does. I can't believe how well it walls out my opponents. Articuno has a relatively high base speed, so you're going to be able to substitute before a lot of your opponent's Pokemon can set up Sleep Powders, can set up Toxics, Thunder Waves, taunts like that. You're going to be able to get your subs off first, and then from there, you just put up Toxic, and you just spam that Roost button, and you're so bulky that they're not going to be able to do anything about it. And if anyone questions your authority, or let's say anyone has like, you know, a Ground-type Pokemon, or something you don't want to fight, just pop an Ice Beam in their face and go to the races. Articuno is so good. I really think it's the best Ice type in the game. And I know a lot of people are going to debate it and put Cloyster up there, but Articuno also, it's Team Mystic. Like, Articuno is just cool. Everyone likes Articuno. Like, people that are my age used to play Pokemon Stadium back in the day. Like, Articuno was like the best Pokemon in that game. And, you know, it takes a lot of work and team building to make Articuno work. But if you do it, you're going to be met with a Pokemon that's going to pay you back dividends for the amount of team building you like to surround it around. So, like, if you look at a lot of the other Pokemon, like, Articuno, like I said, needs more babysitting. But, like, Cloyster, for example, can be put in a team in sweep. Sandslash needs a little bit of babysitting, but Ninetails and Jinx can relatively just be thrown into most teams. And other than having big rocks, weaknesses, like weaknesses to Stealth Rocks and stuff, they're relatively fine, and they can just be splashed. Articuno needs a lot more babysitting and team building around because it has a 4 times weakness to rock, which means it really limits your team building. But like I said, it's great at what it does, and I think that makes it the best Ice type in the game. My opinion. But hopefully you guys agree. That's my top 5. I'm gonna do what I always do and put my Phantom 6th pick for best Ice type in the game. And I know there's gonna be one person in the comments that just hates me because there's one person that really likes Dugong. And unfortunately, Dugong's number 7th. It's the worst Ice type. I looked at its moves. It's pretty decent in doubles. Only in doubles. It gets like Fake Out, Encore, Aqua Jet, bunch of priority moves. Its base stats are too low. It's worse than Lapras, because they're both water ice. Lapras is so much better most of the time. So Lapras is going to be the Phantom 6th Mon, the Kuroko, if you will, of ice types. And I had to go Lapras because we're next to Lapras in the Elite 4. We got Calm Lapras. You guys have seen me use this before. I really think that having that plus special D, this thing is a great example. It's like probably the perfect example of what a tank is in Let's Go singles battles. This Pokemon, it can eat any attack. No one's going to one-shot your Lapras unless they have, like, Nasty Pots or Swords Dance. Even if they're using a super effective move, you're probably just going to live. That's just how Lapras works. Its base stats are just too damn high. You can hit back with Super Effective Thunderbolt, hit back with Stab Surf. Note that it can't get Scald for some reason. Otherwise, Lapras would probably kind of busted in other formats. So, like, I understand it gets Surf over Scald. Gets that Stabbed Ice Beam. Gets moves like Psychic as well. Like, Lapras gets so many unique moves, and it can eat any attack and fire back with something that's super effective on almost any Pokemon. And that's why Lapras is getting the Phantom 6 Mon treatment. We're going to add it to the team, and we're going to look at some TMs that these Pokemon can learn as we go into like the second part of the video. So let's look at some TMs. All these Pokemon can learn Blizzard. Blizzard's pretty good. It has a 70 accuracy, base 110. But remember, in doubles, Blizzard hits both Pokemon, and it has a 10% chance to freeze. So in some situations, Blizzard is a better idea. Things like, Ninetails aren't very strong. I think you need Blizzard to KO like Mega Venusaur even in singles. So sometimes Blizzard gives you a little bit more bang for your buck, but more often than not, you're fine going with Ice Beam on a lot of these Pokemon. Brick Break, I don't really think it's that great, but, you know, Sandslash can definitely learn it. Maybe for the Sandslash mirror, if you want to be 4 times super effective against other low-end Sandslashes, that's probably about it, other than breaking the screens. Calm Mind, I talked about its usefulness on Ninetails, and exclusively how it's very useful on Pokemon like Jinx as well. Both Pokemon really benefit from this move, and being able to boost your special attack and special D is super, super good. Very underrated TM here. Dark Pulse is not amazing. It's an 80 base power. I talked about this on Ninetails in the Fire video, and I'll say it again. It's not very good. Don't use it. Unless you stab it. Unless you stab it. Dazzling Gleam, one thing you run its Ninetails, it's pretty good. Dig's not that great. Don't use it. Dragon Pulse, Lapras can learn it. More coverage, but then again, are you really going to be Dragon Pulsing a dragon, or are you just going to Ice Beam them for super effective damage? I mean, maybe it's good against Charizard X, but it's fine. You do not need Dragon Pulse. Don't run Dragon Pulse on Lapras. Note the Dragon Pulse is an 85, though. I like it. I like 85 base moves. That's right. Who is this? Dagwad. See, I turned on the notification thing, and people follow. I love that little voice animation. Because, like, I say something, and then they say, that's right. I'm like, you know, that is right. That is right. So, Drill Run. Note that Sandslash can learn it, but we're going to talk about Earthquake right here. It also learns Earthquake. So in singles, Earthquake has a 100 base power versus Drill Run has a 80 and also can miss. Note the Drill Run has a high critical hit ratio. If you're playing singles, obviously Earthquake is the better move. It's stronger. That makes more sense, and it can't miss. But in doubles, you don't want to hit your teammate. Earthquake hits everyone. And that's one of the reasons why Drill Run even exists. You may be thinking, why does Drill Run even exist? Just run Earthquake. It's a move made exclusively for doubles because it hits a single target. So if you're going to be using a low-end Sandslash in doubles, maybe use Drill Run instead. Facade's not that optimal on these Pokemon. Maybe Sandslash, but that's about it. They're not learning any fire attacks. Ninetails can learn Foul Play. I talked about that in the fire video. For regular Ninetails, Foul Play is pretty decent, but I really don't think that Ninetails, a low-end Ninetails in particular, has room for it on its set. Let's see. Fly's not that great. Nothing's learned Flash Cannon, no Flamethrower. Helping Hand somewhat decent, but again, only really Jinx can learn it. So Jinx already has a pretty packed move pool as well. Ice Beam's really good. Most of these Pokemon are special attackers, so you're not really going to use it. And the only Pokemon that is using it is Sandslash, who is an Ice type, so there you go. Payday is not great. Outrage, LOL Lapras. Nothing can learn Mega Drain. Mega Drain would be good on a lot of these Pokemon. Imagine if like Ninetales and Jinx got Mega Drain. That's pretty good. I mean, Jinx kind of already has Mega Drain. Dream Meter, my guys. Light Screens. Note that Jinx can learn Light Screen. Again, I've talked about this before. If you're ever going to think about running Light Screen on something like Jinx, just run Calm Mind. It works very similar and also gets you like a bang for your special attack stat. It's like 2 birds, 1 stone, but a little bit better. Player Up's not going to be learned on any of these guys. Psychic can be learned on Jinx, and Lapras already gets it. I wouldn't really recommend Psychic on Lapras. It's only really good against things like you know, those big fighting types are going to be switching in. Like, if someone's switching into a Machamp or, like, a Poliwrath to fight your Lapras, you know, you can definitely hit him with a Psychic on the switch-in. That's probably one of the few situations which you use it. I pretty much had it there as a placeholder. Reflect's pretty good, and a lot of these Pokemon actually do learn Reflect. Lapras, Ninetails, Jinx, even Cloyster and Articuno, all these get Reflect, and Reflect is completely different from Calm Mind because there aren't really that many moves that boost your defense, and especially, like, your team's defense. So all of these Pokemon can definitely learn Reflect, except for Sandslash, and it's a great option, and hopefully some of you guys mess around with more screens, because as the meta develops, screens are going to become a lot better, and it's going to, I think the meta is going to eventually turn into more of, like, how mid-level Gen 4 singles battles were, where, like, screens and, like, setup mons are extremely valuable and very dominant. So I hope that really happens, because that was a really fun format to play, but, you know, Reflect is really good, especially on, like, things like Lapras. Like, you have the move slots to be able to do that if you wanted to, so maybe you guys think about it. Again, nothing really learns Scald. That's crazy, right? We got 2 ice types in here, 2 water types in too, and they can't even learn Scald. But, again, things like Lapras would be really good with Scald, so I completely understand. I think it's like a balance issue. Like, Lapras would, in other formats, in like previous games, you know, like Ultra Sun and Moon and things like that, Lapras would have been overpowered at certain points of the game if it learned Scald, so I respect the option here. Articuno has Roost. Recovery moves are premium in almost any single format, so it makes sense. Rock Slide, Sandslash can learn it. I was going to talk about putting Rock Slide on Sandslash, but, you know, you might as well, like, think about it. Rock Slide's going to be a base 75, even if it's super effective against something, it's only going to go up to 150. you can just use Iron Tail, and Iron Tail is base 100 thanks to the same type attack bonus, or otherwise known as stab. You go up to 150 anyways, so you don't really need Rock Slide. Rock Slide's only really good against hitting things like Moltres, or like other Articunos. And even then, I don't even know if it KOs. So like that's why I do not recommend Rock Slide on Sandslash. Rest is always decent, but not on these Pokemon because they're more often than not like setup mons or glass cannons. Don't really recommend. Cloyster and Self-Destruct, don't do it. It's a waste of a move slot. Literally, just put another offensive move on there. And for those of you saying, what if I get taunted? Well, then just switch. Don't just lose your Cloyster for free. It's such a waste. Shadow Ball, Jinx can learn it. Jinx is one of the few Pokemon I almost recommend running Shadow Ball on because Shadow Ball is only really decent on 2 types of Pokemon. It's going to be decent on Ghost types because they stab it, and Psychic types, so they can hit other Psychic types. And Jinx is a Psychic type, so technically, if you really wanted to go Shadow Ball to fight like Mewtwo's and stuff, you have the option of doing it, but you have Ice Beam, and Ice Beam is going to be a 90, goes up to Stab, goes up to 135, and since you have a secondary Stab move, you don't really need the Shadow Ball, because even at Shadow Ball's best, it's going to be a 160, and it's not picking up KOs on anything at only 160 base, so you might as well just go with the Ice Beam. For those of you guys that still don't get that, I'll explain that as many times as I have to until you guys get it in your head. I hate seeing random Shadow Balls. It's such a waste of a move slot. You guys can be better than that. So Sludge Bomb, nothing's really wrong on Sludge Bomb. Superpower, no superpower. These are all weak to fighting, makes sense. Sub's great. A lot of these Pokemon can learn it. A lot of these Pokemon, I recommended on it. The only one of these with Stealth Rocks gets it. Stealth Rocks is that good. And it's for that reason that Sandslash actually got in over Lapras in my top 5. Other than the fact that everyone likes Sandslash. Solar Beam, note the Lapras scoring Solar Beam. I've always thought that was really funny. Obviously, it's a 2-turn charge move, so I don't recommend it. But you have the option, so that's cool. It's funny. It is funny. Surf, obviously, the 2 Pokemon that can get Surf can get its 90 base power. You can't really knock it. It definitely deals that big damage. Taunt, the only Pokemon that gets it. Taunt's pretty good. Teleport, I don't really recommend Teleport on either of these Mons. Especially Cloyster. Cloyster doesn't really have the room for that, and the things that stop Shell Smash, like Taunt, also stop Teleport, so even if, like, where it's like, well, I can't Shell Smash, so I'm just going to soak damage and Teleport, well, the reason you can't Shell Smash is because you probably got taunted, so Teleport doesn't really work in that situation. Lapras gets Thunderbolt, it's pretty good. Sandslash can learn X-Scissor, and I've talked about the usefulness of X-Scissor on regular Sandslash to fight against Psychic types after, like, some boosts. It still technically works, but, you know, you don't really need it. You know, if you guys like X-Scissor, let me know some sick X-Scissor calcs, but as it stands, you don't really need it. Will-O-Wisp, these guys aren't learning it. It's Fire Attack, makes sense. Articuno can learn U-Turn. I've talked about it before. U-Turn's not that great, especially on something like Articuno, who's a special attacker. U-Turn, while it helps you keep momentum, it's a physical attack, and it's really bad on Articuno, because every time Articuno switches in on Stealth Rocks, it takes 50% of its health. And I also want to talk about one thing about Articuno after this game. Depending on your Articuno's HP, like IV total, you may be able to get it, so where you have like a odd number of HP to where you can switch it on Stealth Rocks twice, depending on if your Articuno is perfect, like it has 31 IVs in every single stat, including HP. If you switch it on Stealth Rocks, it's going to take 50% of your health, and it's going to knock you to an even number, which means if you switch out and switch in again, you're going to take 50% and go to you're just going to get KO'd by Stealth Rocks. But if your Articuno isn't perfect IVs, like mine, on purpose, kind of, like I could bottle cap this thing and level it up, but I don't want to. The way it works is because when I come in on Stealth Rocks, I go to an odd number, and so I go to 51%. And that means when I come back in, if I switch out and come back in after Stealth Rocks again, I'm going to be left at 1 HP. And so that's like a mechanic you don't really think of a lot of the time. It also works really good against things that are using like Super Fang. So sometimes like influence your IVs like that, it's not a mechanic a lot of people think of, but it's really underrated. It was also used on things like Pheromosa in previous gens, like it gets high jump kick, right? And so a lot of players would make their Pheromosa like not perfect on purpose, or mess with their Eevee spreads on purpose to where you could technically miss 2 high jump kicks and still be left at 1 HP. And, you know, more people need to, like, think about that stuff. Got to think outside the box just a little bit. So, yeah, U-Turn's not great because you got to be switching so much. There's probably rocks up, and you don't want to switch with this thing because it takes so much damage from rocks. Toxic's always great. It's on Articuno. It's Toxic Stellar. Makes a lot of sense. Megahorn. Lapras actually can learn Megahorn, and there have been people that have talked in my comment section a lot about some physical Lapras set, some magical physical Lapras set with like Megahorn, Ice Shard, all these really crazy moves like Mega Horn, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm intrigued. So like I think if I had the chance to like go catch more Laprases and like soft reset for them and get like maybe an adamant one or like an impish one or like a careful one, maybe even a jolly one, I'd be down to try like a waterfall Mega Horn Ice Shard Lapras. I think that'd be absolutely hilarious and it'd be a lot of fun. Maybe sometime in the future. Lapras can also warn Thunder over Thunderbolts. Depends on if you need it. Remember, Thunder can totally miss, but I never miss my Thunders. It can't warn Thunder Wave, or else I would totally recommend Thunder Wave on Lapras. And, yeah, like, if Lapras got Thunder Wave, it would have been in the top 5 for sure. There's the Waterfall that I was talking about. There's the Iron Tail Lapras also gets Iron Tail, even though you'd never use it on anything. Other than a bunch of these ice types, know what I'm saying? There's the Dream Eater. Lapras can also learn Sing Dream Eater. It's technically possible. Ninetails can also get Hypnosis Dream Eater. Again, it's technically possible. Jinx is just the best at what it does. There's the Poison Jab. Sandslash can learn Poison Jab. I don't really recommend it because Poison Jab's mostly going to be hitting like grass types and stuff like that anyways. And you're an ice type. You don't really need it. Bulk Up. Unfortunately, Sandslash can't learn Bulk Up. I would totally use that. That'd be busted. It'd be so good. And that's all the TMs I have. Again, I wanted to mention last time about Roar on Ninetails is pretty good. I should probably get that TM, but that's about it, guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful time watching this video. Please, please, please let me know if you got to the very end. You know I like hearing that. I'm working on... I'm going to tell you guys what I'm working on. I'm working on like a thing on my notebook where I'm trying to increase the amount of time that people watch the videos. And it's not like a sellout cash grab thing. Like I'm not, you guys know I play a couple ads in my videos, but not like a ton. Like I'm not doing them every 5 minutes. It's like every 10 or 15. And what I'm doing it for is I want to see if increasing the amount of time that people watch will help the YouTube algorithm send my channel out to people who are not normally watchers. So like right now, believe it or not, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I have about a 10 to 12 minute average view over the course of like each video. So that means a lot of people watch the whole thing, but a lot of people watch for like a minute, you know, and so it averages out to be like 12 minutes. So I was wondering if I increase the average up to like 15, you know, 18, 20, if that'll help the algorithm promote my channel and, you know, stuff like that. So again, this isn't like totally sellout stuff. I'm not cheating or doing anything, you know, unfair. I'm just trying to experiment with the YouTube algorithm and, you know, help it work for me. So guys, you guys are the main factor in making that work, and I want to know if you guys watch the very end, and I want to know what type you guys want to see me work on next time. I hope you guys are liking this series. Happy New Year. We're going to be super big in 2019. Have a good one. Be safe tonight, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.